served several years as chair of the CBA's Diversity and Inclusion Committee.
Hi, Jenny. Welcome.
Hi, Stephen. Thanks for having us. I'm Jenny Kim. I'm the Managing Counsel at Raytheon Technologies Corporation, previously known as United Technologies Corporation. And part of my role is to advocate for pro bono programs that our in-house lawyers can join. I'm also a member of the Lawyers Collaborative for Diversity Board of Directors representing Raytheon Technologies. As for those who don't know, the Lawyers Collaborative for Diversity is a nonprofit organization comprised of members in the state of Connecticut and Western Massachusetts who are legal employers from the private sector, the public sector.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. Hi, John Shapiro.
Hey, Steve, how are you? Nice to see everyone. So my name is Jonathan Shapiro. I'm a partner at Aton Law Partners out of Middletown, Connecticut. My focus on my practice is business litigation and business, really general counseling work. And I am the immediate past president, at least for a couple more weeks, of the Connecticut Bar Association. So thanks for having us, Steve, to talk about these programs.
Welcome. Hi, Peter Knight. Welcome.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm Peter Knight. I'm an environmental lawyer at Robinson & Cole. We're an AmLaw 200 law firm, but I'm also the firm's pro bono partner, which is what brings me here today.
That's great. Welcome. And last but certainly not least, the former and past president of the Hispanic Bar Association, Marie Bertrand. Welcome, Marie.
Hi, thank you, Stephen, and thank you for having us and hosting us. I too wear multiple hats. My name is Marie Bertrand. I am a past president of the Connecticut Hispanic Bar Association. I'm also the current secretary of the Lawyers Collaborative for Diversity, and also a partner at an AmLaw 200 Dade Pitney, based out of Hartford. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I know we're on Facebook Live now. So for those who are just joining us, this is our Small Business Matters series, Lawyers Lending a Hand in Recovery. And I'm especially grateful to see all of you because, you know, folks are going through tough times. And right now, more than ever, those of us in the learned professions can really lend a hand in helping people navigate these difficult times. So I'm gonna give it right back to all of you. Ndidi Moses.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Stephen. And you're exactly right. The Connecticut Bar Association, I think, realized when the pandemic first started that there was a real need in the community at large to address a bunch of issues. I think lawyers were trying to keep up with what was going on. It was hard for us. And then looking at the community, you recognize there was a lot of people struggling just to figure out what was happening, corral the information, and find solutions. So we met as an executive board. A lot of people on the call were involved in that initial meeting. And we started to talk about what we can do to help address a lot of these issues. We reached out to our ABA delegate, Dan Schwartz, and he and I spent some time brainstorming different ideas. We were looking at different models that had happened across the country, and we decided that we should start a task force. So the E-Board and I met, we talked about different people that could possibly spearhead it. And we ended up with Monty Frank, who's the past president, who assisted with our opioid efforts and also has been working on gun violence issues across the state and the nation. Barbara Collins, who was the president of the CBA during 9/11, and Dana Horelic, who was a young lawyers chair at the national level, who has been instrumental in a lot of disaster relief programs nationally. So with that power team, we started the COVID-19 task force. We also looked out to the larger community. We recruited a bunch of leaders in the legal community, especially from a lot of bar associations. One of those amazing leaders was Jenny Kim. I reached out to her personally because of her outstanding work at LCD. And she's involved in another task force that we're working on. And I really admired her leadership and her vision. And so her and I talked about a lot of the concerns I was seeing with the minority community. And I wanted to make sure those concerns were met. So I got her, convinced her to join the task force, and we got her on board. And from there, we had a bunch of meetings. At our first meeting, we created a bunch of subcommittees. One of the subcommittees we created was the Legal Professions Subcommittee, which is chaired by Amy Lynn Myerson, our incoming president. Cecil chairs our Legal Aid Subcommittee. Jonathan chairs our Public at Large Subcommittee. And then in addition to that, we have a subcommittee that's focusing on law students, law school issues. We have a subcommittee working with the judicial branch, another subcommittee working with the executive branch, a subcommittee working on financial issues, helping our members deal with financial problems they may be incurring. And then we have a technology committee, literally getting our members and the community virtual overnight. And that's taken some effort on our part. And so Ginny and I were talking, and she mentioned this idea out of New York to do a small business pro bono program. Ginny and I had worked with another organization on a similar program, so I kind of knew where she was coming from, and I enlisted the rest of my e-board to actually help her pull it through. Amy Lynn Myerson is currently the chair of our pro bono committee, and Jonathan, obviously, who is spearheading our public at large efforts. So I'll turn it over to Amy to talk about the work of the pro bono committee and how they got involved.
Thanks, Ndidi. Yes, so the Legal Professions Subcommittee, the task force, immediately started looking for resources that will be available for attorneys to help them continue their practice in the middle of this pandemic. And part of that was to look at the different pro bono opportunities that were available for them so that they can assist the people in need in growing numbers as we're seeing. We did have a Connecticut Free Legal Answers program in place where people could log on to that website, post a question, and get an answer from an attorney. But we had this opportunity from Jenny and Peter to bring this small business virtual legal clinic to the Bar Association, and it came in through Jonathan's subcommittee, Public at Large. Of course, these resources for attorneys were also overlapping with the public at large, so we worked on providing resources to the public at large subcommittee as well. Jonathan?
Thank you, Amy. So as Amy and Ndidi mentioned, I had the privilege of chairing our subcommittee on the public at large. Obviously, with the COVID pandemic really taking the world by storm and the country by storm overnight, there was any number of areas where we felt we can make a difference to help the community at large. And one of the efforts that we spearheaded early on was really a fundraising effort to help support the Connecticut Food Bank and Connecticut Food Share to Feed Connecticut, because we had immediately recognized that with the loss of employment coming on quickly for many people, really overnight as the state shut down, that was an immediate need. As we got that program off the ground, we turned our attention to other areas where we could help. And really with all the businesses getting shuttered overnight, a lot of uncertainty in the air, I found that my practice getting constant phone calls from clients on these issues and how to navigate it. And I know it was a lot for us attorneys to digest, all the legal changes and requirements that were coming in, and can imagine, what it was like for people without the legal background to see all these new regulations and requirements come in. So this program seemed like a great fit for us to help the public at large. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Cecil.
I was privileged to serve as one of the leaders of the legal aid subcommittee of the COVID-19 task force. I work at Greater Hartford Legal Aid, where I provide representation along with my colleagues to low-income residents of the Greater Hartford area. And COVID-19 had a very serious and will have a very serious economic impact on Connecticut residents. There are low-income residents right now that have significant legal needs, and we anticipate that this pandemic and its economic impact will greatly increase the amount of need that low-income residents of Connecticut are experiencing. So in light of that, we launched a new initiative within the Connecticut Bar Association called Pro Bono Connect. And Pro Bono Connect allows attorneys to sign up through the CBA's website, and we're going to show that later on in this presentation, to take on a case pro bono and agree to provide that representation through one of Connecticut's civil legal services providers. And in exchange for that pledge to take on a case, the attorneys that sign up will receive access to free webinar trainings that allow them to receive the training support they need to provide that representation. Committee members have prepared 14 different trainings with others in the works on the range of issues that we expect are going to see a significant increase. Those include family and particularly domestic violence concerns, housing issues, especially with the expected avalanche of evictions that are soon to arrive upon us, and a number of other consumer and immigration related issues. So we've put out the call, attorneys have answered the call and begun to sign up to prepare themselves to help address Connecticut's access to justice gap. Ginny Kim was one of the members of that committee, and her initiative and the initiative of others on this call was really born out of some of those discussions.
I think I have to unmute myself. Hi, everybody. Yes, and in sitting in the meetings with the legal aid subcommittee, as well as with the task force meetings, there was a lot of conversation and discussion of the impact, really the disparate impact that COVID-19 was having on members of the minority community. And, you know, Ndidi and the leadership really did a good job of reminding everybody that whatever we do, we really need to understand how we are helping the people who need the most help. And through the legal aid pro bono efforts, you know, directing it at individuals, a couple of articles that we started reading showed how small businesses were also really suffering. Small businesses, which are really the engine that drive the economy in this state and in many others, you know, they employ a lot of people. There were a lot of people really suffering and needed help. So this seemed like a great gap that we could fill easily as a legal community. And when I came across this clinic down in New York that was launching, it seemed like the perfect solution. So by reaching out to the Lawyers Collaborative for Diversity, which is an organization that brings in so many different lawyers from around the state, it felt like a natural fit to connect the lawyers to doing the service. And really quickly, what the clinic actually does is it connects small business owners who have 25 or fewer employees with volunteer lawyers who have studied up on issues that small businesses will run across or have run across because of COVID-19. And it connects them for a 45-minute, less than an hour, free consultation by telephone, Zoom, FaceTime, whatever technology the lawyer and the small business decide they want to connect on, and really an open opportunity to ask questions. We also have the ability to help them seek some possible further help if the 1 hour consultation is not enough. But many times we have found that it's just a really simple matter of answering some questions and pointing folks out to some resources, and really just reaffirming that what they're doing is the right thing, makes sense. So with that idea and going to the Lawyers Collaborative for Diversity's board, I was connected to Peter Knight, who was at that time also working on putting together some kind of small business pro bono program. So he and I spoke by phone, and really literally Peter took the ball from there and almost single-handedly recruited an entire army of private sector lawyers to staff the clinic. And he and his team at Robinson and Cole have done a fabulous job of setting it up administratively and running it like clockwork. So I'm going to hand it over to Peter to talk about that.
Thanks, Jenny. And it's very interesting to sit and listen to all the different perspectives on where people were at, you know, in late February, early March, when, you know, we were all kind of reading the tea leaves. And from our perspective at a large law firm, a very community-minded firm with an active pro bono program, our firm management reached out to our pro bono committee to ask, you know, what we could do as a firm to help small businesses that we knew were going to be confronting a lot of challenges, especially, as been said, minority-owned businesses and businesses in communities of color. We initially explored an internal program, and I started to run into a bunch of hurdles in connection with work that we would be doing on a pro bono basis versus work that we would be doing for paying clients, many of whom were running into these same issues. And also the scope of the problems were larger than any one firm could take on. And just, I think, as I was beginning to despair a little bit, some of my colleagues who are active with Lawyers for Collaborative for Diversity reached out, and as Ginny said, she and I got put together. And the clinic that we're administering really, it solved really all of the issues that we were running into. It allowed us to have a much broader platform and really do exactly what we were hoping to do as a firm, which was really to provide whatever assistance we could for small businesses that were confronting COVID-related issues. Jeannie did a good job of explaining how the clinic works. So Robinson and Cole is spearheading a bit just in terms of administering the program. So we will receive a request from small businesses across the state, and our role is to kind of farm those out to a stable of now over 50 volunteer lawyers at a number of large, medium, and small law firms and solo practitioners throughout the state. We try and line up the matters and the nature of the request with a lawyer who practices in that area. And so, as you can imagine, a lot of the work has involved questions about state, federal, regional loan and grant programs, labor and employment issues, insolvency issues in some cases. And we're delighted with the fact that we really seem to be kind of hitting our audience in the way that we had intended. We've had requests from throughout the state, and a lot of these have come from restaurants, barbershops and salons, yoga studios, real Main Street businesses. And at this point, a lot of those questions relate to kind of reopening concerns, liability concerns, and as Ginny and I think Jonathan can attest through his practice, a lot of these are people with questions that our lawyers are dealing with all the time, and really can benefit from a short, friendly 45-minute exchange. It's been a great opportunity, I think, on both sides for our small business clients and our volunteer lawyers. But we, as I said, it's involved a network of law firms, including Day Pitney, who was a very early participant and colleague in the process. So I'll turn it over to Marie to talk a little bit about her experience.
You're on mute.
Thank you, Peter. So the role that I really play, and part of the reason why I was very interested in participating in this clinic and the initiative, is really to try to help spread the word to the community, particularly to small minority-owned businesses who have been particularly hit hard by the pandemic and the forced shutdowns. And in reaching out to a number of affinity bar organizations, such as the Connecticut Hispanic Bar Association, I connected with a number of different people, including Stephen, who, as you all know, is just amazing, and thought that this, Small Business Matters session would be a good platform for helping to spread the word out to Connecticut constituents. So, part of why I'm here is to hopefully specifically appeal to those legislators who have significant ties to the minority-owned business community, in the hope that we're going to be able to reach more minority-owned businesses and make this clinic available to them to the extent that they're looking for assistance. I'm also a volunteer in the clinic, and one of two of the intakes that our firm has handled at this point, we can confirm is a minority-owned business community. So the word is definitely getting out there, but I think we can do more. And so we're appealing to you and your base to reach out to the folks that to just let them know that we're here to help. And I think, especially now, given all of the recent events that have occurred, the legal community is really looking for help, minority communities. And this is one of the ways that we feel we can give back.
And Marie raises a good point. I wanted to stress, it's super easy to sign up for help. All you need to do is you go to the CBA website, and I don't know if we've got a way to post that up on the screen. Here we go.
Great.
If you can see it. the connecticutbar.org has a COVID-19 clinic landing page, and there's a way for attorneys to volunteer by clicking on the Volunteer Now tile. There's also a way for small businesses to sign up themselves and register for help. And that would be another link on the same bar. There we go. So if you do ctbar.org, look for COVID-19, you will be able to find it pretty easily. And it's really as simple as typing in a few pieces of information about yourself. Right there for small businesses, you would click on the Learn More for small businesses. And within a few days, you will be contacted by a clinic volunteer. Everyone who's doing this is doing it to volunteer. Nobody is doing it to try to make money off of anybody. It's really truly people who want to help and help the people who we really care about in our communities to make this a stronger state. And here is the link for those who are watching to get to the registration page. What you do is you click on that, apply now, it'll take you to a sign up form, and it's super, super easy.
And I would just add that, this is not a typical lawyer, attorney-client engagement. We're really offering high-level guidance to help folks navigate a number of these issues. But I would say, to pick up on what Marie said, the response from the legal community has been really overwhelming, and we are well staffed up. So it is fair to say that volunteers are standing by. And so we hope that this helps spread the word.
If I could just
Peter,
jump
that's great. I just wanted to touch on that point because for the benefit of our viewing public on Facebook Live, and also a special thanks to CTN that is covering this information live. The real coming together here of what you described as our Main Street businesses. In every almost every town in the state of Connecticut, those Main Street businesses are really part of the economic engines of those towns, economic engines for the families that engage in them. You mentioned barbering and cosmetology. You mentioned restaurants, two of the industries that we've covered on our Small Business Matters series. And we'll continue to cover some of the stories even that you're learning through your engagement and your volunteerism. So it really does matter what you're doing. And I just wanted to raise that up a little bit in appreciation.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. If I could just add, I mean, when I look on this this call that we're having right now, and you see the group of lawyers that's on this call, it shows you kind of the reach of the different types of lawyers that want to assist and help people that have been suffering. We have government lawyers on this call. We have a public interest lawyer on this call. We have a couple of private attorneys, private firms on this call with large firms. We've got small firms, and we have a solo firm. And then we have a U.S. attorney on here, and we have an in-house attorney. We've got all sectors of members of our legal community that are interested in helping and participating to help small businesses out there. And as Peter and Marie both said, when it comes to this program, a lot can be accomplished in a 45-minute phone call. What I have found in my work in this area is a lot of people are unsure, need to bounce an idea off someone, and need just a little bit of guidance to make sure they want to do anything. Because what I'm finding with all the businesses that I'm working with, and just people I meet, everyone wants to do the right thing, and they want to make sure they're operating safely, securely, and protecting both their customers as well as their employees. Everyone wants to do it right. They just sometimes need to make sure what they're doing is right, and that's where I think we can come in and help provide that guidance.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, Stephen. One of the clients that I worked with under this clinic, she's a catering company, has a few employees, and to Jonathan's point, she was very concerned about maintaining the safety of her own employees as she goes and accepts potential new jobs after phase 2 is reopening. So we talked about questions about employee liabilities, We talked about questions about her contracts with her customers and what happens if there's another shutdown that happens later on this fall. And she was a very savvy person who already had done a lot of her own research. And I think it was just reassuring for her to run some of her questions by a lawyer and really reconfirm that her instincts were already right. And so it was really great. And to be honest, I learned a lot from her as well. And I was really impressed by, a small business owner like that, who's just dealing with a lot of different issues in so many different ways. So really happy that we can bring this clinic together, and we hope we can help more people.
I guess the question I have is, as legislators who will certainly be watching this, because this is being broadcast on CTN, as I said. As a legislator, what can a leader do to help promote the work of the clinic, and also perhaps to help spread the word to encourage more volunteerism for the clinic?
Yep, I would say, in two ways. We've got some flyers, we've got some materials. So if there's distribution networks that they have, we'd be happy to share those social media posts. We would love for them to repost and tweet. We have a flyer developed for every single kind of social media outlet that people use these days: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, even email flyers. So really, truly, if they have distribution channels to communicate with their constituents, that's what we would most greatly appreciate. Any even meetings, times that they have to talk to people, if there's walking down their own main street and seeing some small businesses, letting them know that we exist would be great. And then also for individuals who are in need of legal services as well, please also let them know that the CBA is really working to connect lawyers with individuals and help out the legal aid organizations who are really struggling themselves to help the large number of people who've been impacted by COVID-19.
Well, thank you so much. And it's an all hands-on approach. And I want to thank you especially for really highlighting a woman-owned business, because you're not just focusing on minority-owned businesses, but also businesses that are owned by women.
Absolutely. It's any small business with 25 or fewer employees. There's a lot of them out there, and we want to help everyone.
That's great. Well, listen, on behalf of the people of the state of Connecticut, and really on behalf of all of the leaders who I know are working together in every way that they can to navigate us through this crisis and the concurrent crises that we're confronting as a society, I really want to thank you. I want to thank each of you for your individual efforts that I know that you're doing in one way or another. I've worked with one or the other of you on so many of these things, and I'm just always impressed and grateful. I was on a call the other night with Chief Justice Robinson, and he really talked about the difference between lawyers and attorneys, and how it is that attorneys, to his mind, were those of you who really take the skills of our profession and give back every day with a common sense of values and a common sense of purpose. So for that, I want to thank you. And again, ctbar.org for the benefit of our viewers. Go there. You can find more information also on our Facebook page, and figure out how you can help and figure out where you can find help. So thanks again. I'd love to give the floor to some parting words for you, Ndidi Moses.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I truly encourage you to continue to check our website. We have tons of pro bono programs. I think that we are looking for more opportunities to work with the community. We're constantly brainstorming ways we can assist and protect the rule of law and help during these times. We know that people are struggling. We know that people have needs, and we just really want to make sure that you use us as a resource and reach out to us if anything comes up that you need assistance with.
Yes, I echo that. We look forward to working with community leaders and government officials over the coming year and working through this together. Please do reach out with any comments or any concerns that you might have that we might be able to assist you with.
Thank you. Jonathan.
Yeah, what everyone said, there's tremendous need out there, and there are a lot of tremendous people out there that want to help and assist our communities in need. In terms of, other advice out there for people, in terms of the CBA, besides this program, as Ndidi mentioned, we've got a ton of pro bono programs that Cecil was talking about. And I think Amy mentioned it earlier. We've got an incredible resource page that really fits any number of areas with respect to the COVID crisis, of materials that may help you, guide you, even if you're not participating in this program. But I know Amy and her group did a tremendous job of putting those materials together, and they're constantly getting updated.
That's great. Thank you, Cecil.
Thank you again for this opportunity to talk about this. And I just want to highlight something that you said, Stephen, which is that it's really inspiring to see how lawyers come together in difficult times to answer the many challenges of the current situation we're in. And so I think it speaks to the Connecticut Bar Association's long-term commitment to access to justice and to making sure that justice is open to all. And so I think that's been really inspiring for me, and I think it's a testament to the strength of the organization. So thank you.
Thank you, Cecil. Peter.
Yeah, inspiration is a great word to use. I've been inspired on this side of the equation with the response and the volunteer turnout that we've had. And I would only add that on at least one or two of those flyers, it might say that we envision the clinic running through August. There's not a drop dead date. It certainly is going to be active through the summer, but I think we're no one knows what the future holds, and so we're keeping an open mind there too.
Marie.
Just a few parting words. I feel very honored and privileged to be part of this group of attorneys who, are putting this initiative together and helping to spread the word. I wanted to thank the CBA, Robinson and Cole in particular, and you, Stephen, for lending us this platform to help spread the word to small businesses, and especially minority-owned small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. And to my fellow attorneys on this call, and to my fellow attorneys out there volunteering and doing their best to help our small businesses, thank you so much. Let's keep working.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.